Hi, I'm Chuck Joyner, and this is a MacVoices update for April 2018. Every time I sit down to do one of these updates, I think that I really don't have much to tell you. Then I review the notes and emails that have come in over the month and realize, yeah, there's more than just a little here. So bear with me. Here we go. First, I wanted to mention the MacVoices Live shows on Facebook that we did this month. Been a little bit of an experiment, and I'm always honestly kind of surprised at how much positive feedback I get on this. There seems to be something about the live engagement that folks like. I've participated in other folks doing live shows, and they are fun. They are fun. So we're going to do more of them. They're definitely not going to replace the usual produced MacVoices shows for lots of reasons. But I would like to know what kind of MacVoices live shows you would like. I've got a few ideas of my own. They're obviously the interview shows that focus on an individual's project or product or whatever it is that they're doing. I've had some folks recommend, maybe headline review kind of shows, keynote reaction kind of shows, even an Ask Me Anything kind of show, which worries me a little because I never know what you guys are going to ask. But that said, is any of that something that you would enjoy having from MacVoices? And they would be, of course, MacVoices live shows, but also then edited a little bit and posted to all the other MacVoices channels. So if you can't participate live, you're not going to miss out. But let me know what you think. I definitely would be very interested because they are fun to do. They're a little bit different, but they're fun, and I'd like to think I'm getting a little better at them as I learn the software and learn how to manipulate everything all at once. Speaking of Facebook, I think it's probably only appropriate to mention what's going on with Facebook right now in the news with all the privacy concerns and issues and confidential information being leveraged. I'm not leaving Facebook. I don't think you should either. I think it's much more appropriate for you to review a bunch of the articles that I flipped into MacVoices magazine about checking your privacy settings, controlling your privacy settings, and the sharing settings. But sticking around, Facebook is like any other tool. It's very useful, but it has to be handled properly and carefully. So watch what you say, watch what you like, but by all means, stick around, continue to participate because it is a great platform. And of course, there's also Twitter, which is also a great platform, also a little bit different kind of platform, and I find it has a little different audience. I personally prefer Twitter, but I'm not overlooking the value and the reach of Facebook. So act accordingly. Finally, on the Facebook front, I did have a couple emails this week asking me about the MacVoices Facebook group and why it's just not open to everyone, why you have to ask to join. And that's pretty simple too. If you've run a Facebook page or if you've run any kind of forum anywhere, you know that an open forum, an open invitation policy just means that there's a lot of back-end work that has to be done then to remove people or bots or whatever that really shouldn't be there and that potentially clutter things up. I think it's much better to have that approval process. If you are a member of the MacVoices group and you see somebody you know that's asked to join, well, you can approve them too, or I can approve them. But it definitely cuts down. It makes it just a little bit difficult to get in the door. Not a lot. And so if you're a human and a person and are active legitimately on Facebook, you should have no trouble getting approved. If there's a question about it or if you do have any trouble for any reason, drop me an email directly at chuck@macvoices.com, and assuming you are a person, we'll work something out. I'm not worried. On the Patreon update last month, I asked folks to give me some ideas for what they felt like would make MacVoices more valuable and would make them want to support MacVoices to some degree or to a greater degree. And I had some really interesting feedback. A couple things that I'm going to try to implement along the way. One of which was the idea that I share a little more viewer and listener feedback. And this is something, to be honest, I really haven't done before. But I think that maybe it's appropriate to do it in this kind of update show. So each month I want to try to pick out one, no more than 2 emails per month that really meant something to me or affected me in some way, in the hopes that it'll affect you and make you see MacVoices for what I hope it to be, a valuable resource. This month, Larry wrote, "Chuck, the show you did with Kelly and Jeff at the end of this week was simply amazing. It was cutting-edge journalism. What you were able to do was take a subject of extreme importance that is literally off the radar and make the subject matter understandable to the non-computer geeks out there in America, while at the same time shining a very concentrated bright light on the extremely important privacy issues. You not only talked about privacy, but you and Kelly gave specific examples of how this issue will affect all of us and our children. Some way, somehow, Chuck, you need to get this interview out to as many people as possible. Keep sounding the alarm, Chuck. Thanks to you and your excellent shows, I'm far more educated now, and this particular show is one that every parent in America should view. Thank you, and please pass along my appreciation to Kelly and Jeff. Wow. Thank you, Larry. That really meant a lot. It meant a lot for a couple reasons, not just the praise. Of course, that always means a lot. Everybody likes to get praise. But it also said that we took a complex subject, we were able to break it down, have you not only understand it, but appreciate it, recognize its importance, but at the end of the day, most importantly, to make you think. That's what I love about those kind of discussion shows, is the idea that we may not have all the answers. In fact, we may not have any answers, but we have questions, and I hope you have some of those same questions and seek out the answers that are right for you. So thanks so much for writing. I really, really appreciate it. Another Patreon member suggested I share a little more information about what the funds are used for that I get from Patreon and from other sponsors. And that's pretty easy. Whether you know it or not, producing MacVoices is not an inexpensive endeavor. There are website hosting fees. There are domain registration fees. There are fees for the services that let me deliver the audio and video files, versions of MacVoices for the podcasts to you. And we try to keep as many of those online for as long as possible. There is a fee for the Vimeo channel, a full-featured Vimeo channel. There's a fee for a full-featured SoundCloud channel. Those are all, they're very important to me because I don't want to force you to consume MacVoices where I want to put it, but I want to try to meet you as close as I can to where you usually hang out on social media or any other media, and make the information available to you. Traveling to conferences is certainly not an inexpensive endeavor, and we'll talk a little about one of those coming up shortly. But there's travel, there are hotel rooms, there are the inevitable expenses associated with attending those conferences. So that's just a few of the places where the money has gone up to this point. Moving forward, well, sure. There's always hardware you can buy to try to improve the production of MacVoices. There are services that would improve the audio quality that you can run the audio through to improve it, level it out, and all. And they too cost money. So those are just a few of the places where the money goes, can go, could go. And I would like to try to continue to improve MacVoices and make it important to you. So that's kind of where it goes to. And if you haven't noticed, podcast sponsors are fewer and farther between, probably than I've seen in a long time. And so as a result, it means that the money has to come from somewhere. So the Patreon campaign is one way to fight back on that a little bit. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support and the support of all our patrons through that campaign. And that's kind of leads us into the next thing, and that is this month's Patreon update. Last month, my goal was to have at least one new subscriber, and I'm happy to say that we got more than that, and I'm delighted. I want to welcome them in the roster here that we have. But no matter what you donate, whatever level you can support us at, it means a great deal. It really does help out. So for April 2018, our Patreons include, at Platinum, and I'm going to get it right this time, folks, because Mike sent me the correct pronunciation, Genia Lab. Thank you, Mike, and thank you, folks at Genia Lab. I'm sorry I kept getting your pronunciation wrong, but I think I've got it right now. I appreciate you correcting me and being patient with me. At Gold, we have RVS. At Silver, we have new patrons, Carol B. and Daniel S. Welcome and thank you both, as well as Michael D., Chuck P., Jim T., Max C., Frank P., and Norbert F. And at Bronze, we have new patrons, Rick S. and Jero M., and I hope, Jero, I got your name pronounced properly, and legacy patrons, Decars F., Prop P., and MN. So thank you to all those patrons. I really appreciate it. Your names will be in the closing credits of every MacVoices show in April, as well as listed on the MacVoices website on our sponsors page. If you are not in a position to contribute, I totally understand. But there are other things that you can do that won't necessarily cost you anything out of pocket, but will definitely help. A big one is to purchase anything from toothpaste to new computers through the Amazon banner link at the top of each of the MacVoices website. If you do, it doesn't cost you a thing extra, but we get a little kickback in commission, and that definitely helps to take the edge off things. And of course, reviews on iTunes, likes and shares on Facebook, retweets on Twitter, any way that you see fit to share the show with friends and other like-minded people is very much appreciated. It helps us grow the audience and hopefully then attract more sponsors. So any way you can help out is very much appreciated. But no matter what you do to help support MacVoices, thank you very, very much. Finally, a little bit of a programming note. As I record this later this week, I will be leaving for Las Vegas and the National Association of Broadcasters show, NAB. This is a show I thoroughly enjoy attending. It's a little bit different for me because obviously, as you've seen in the past, I do some interviews from the show floor and also at the Super Meet, but the bulk of my time is spent attending classes and different things, especially the post-production track part of NAB, as well as a couple Final Cut events and some other little more socially oriented events. But this week for me is about learning as much or more than it is about producing MacVoices. And of course, there's the inevitable reconnecting with old friends. So you can expect to see some of them showing up on the show as well. But that means that MacVoices publication schedule may be a little bit off for a little while. Don't worry, I'm not going anywhere. It just means that I'm out actually doing things as opposed to telling you about them. But I might have a few surprises if you pay attention to the MacVoices feeds and maybe the MacVoices Facebook group page. So check it out. But again, once I get back, there will be, I anticipate plenty of content captured from NAB that I think you'll enjoy. So that's it for the April 2018 update. Thank you again to our patrons for so much. Thank you for watching and listening. I hope to maybe welcome you next month as a new patron. And until the next time, I'm Chuck Joyner. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our MacVoices Facebook group and get more out of your Apple Tech with MacVoices magazine, free on Flipboard. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us at patreon.com/MacVoices and join these folks who help keep MacVoices coming to you. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.